Zapp Comics Radio Podcast. New episode starts now.
We're back.
We're back. We got a lot of downloads from the first one.
Thank you.
It was massive. I was very, very, very impressed. And I can't thank you guys all enough. The feedback has been phenomenal through messaging, people coming in the store, Facebook, Instagram, everything. So thank you for that.
No hate mail at all? Nothing?
No hate mail. Just everybody enjoyed it. So
amazing.
It's really, really good. So decided to do another one.
Excellent.
Maybe we'll do more. We'll see. So, of course, I am Corey. I'm at Zapp Comics. We got Mozart Joseph Francis Ott III, and Dr. Johnny Knoll. Why'd you laugh when I said your name?
Because a lot of Josephs got said.
How come I don't get my full name?
Yeah, you got to do.
I'm not saying your full name because there's like 18 names.
Fine, that's fine.
Say it, but don't say it fast. Say it normally. Go. What is your full name?
Mozart, Ashford, Vincent, Wolfgang, Michael, Jeffrey, Jordan, Joseph.
See, that's why I don't do it.
Amazing.
Yeah, amazing. It's called no. All right. So, anyways, what's your middle name, Johnny?
Lawrence?
Lawrence.
Lawrence?
That's your father's name.
Yes.
I know Larry. Larry's a nice guy.
I know Larry.
I do. He's a nice guy. Very nice guy. Brought me to a Seton Hall game. I sat courtside.
Courtside
I did.
seats.
It's pretty nice. Pretty fancy. Basketball.
For those of you at home, Corny just did a very quick hand gesture dribbling a basketball.
So anyways, I know last time we did the podcast, we did, I was, quizzing you guys on some first appearances and like who came first, whatever. But I got a lot of feedback on the question I asked you, Joe, which movie was released first, Ghostbusters or Gremlins?
Yeah.
And it was a trick question because they were both released on the same day. Funny thing is, 1984 is the year that both you and Mozart were born.
Hello.
Heidi.
I was 7, Johnny was 8 in 1984.
Congratulations,
84
guys.
is a fun year because I remember seeing, I don't remember the first movie I saw in the theater. I remember my dad taking us to see Jedi in 83. I don't know whether, the time frame's weird. I don't remember like when movies came up. I remember seeing things, but 84 is, I remember seeing a lot of movies. I was at the age where, I probably wasn't as annoying as I was when I was little. And you can sit through things. I just took my daughter, who's just turned 6, to see Incredibles 2. And she really enjoyed it. When I used to take her to other movies, it was like, okay, please don't slow down. Because when the movie slows down, they get bored. There's no music, whatever. You get there too early, and they eat all the popcorn during the previews. And it's like, you have to get up. So 7 was I'm sure you can relate to this, Johnny, it changed. Like, you paid attention more. You went to... Things had more like storylines and not just like, oh, it's like, look, there's Darth Vader. You were like paying attention to the actual plot. So 84, it's amazing how many movies came out in 84, and it's also more amazing how many movies that came out in 84 that weren't like box office hits, that are actually some of the biggest movies that like we know just from rewatching them on video or when it's on TBS or HBO and whatnot. Yeah. And a lot of the movies that are quoted come from this year, because the biggest movie of the year, which is almost kind of forgotten, is Beverly Hills Cop, which was major. That was the number 1 release in 84. And you got Ghostbusters at number 2, Temple of Doom at number 3, Gremlins at 4, Karate Kid at 5, Police Academy, Footloose, Romancing the Stone, Star Trek 3, Search for Spock, Splash, Purple Rain, The Natural, Revenge of the Nerds, you got Breakin', Bachelor Party, Red Dawn, The Terminator. Like, this is just in the top 20. It's like ridiculous. And you go further down, you got Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter, Dune, Conan the Destroyer, Last Starfighter, Cannonball Run 2. I mean, I don't mean to keep reading them off, but it's just crazy how many movies came out now in this year that were like Cloak and Dagger, which is me and Johnny know very well, was a fun movie.
That's a great movie. But you know what, too? You're kind of missing two. Which are both on there? Pinocchio and Jungle Book.
I haven't got there yet.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. Oh, you know what? I jumped to 100. Yeah. I'm sorry, page 2.
No fighting.
Yeah. Pinocchio came out, was a re-release.
Jungle Book was on there, fairly high, too.
Jungle Book, Muppets Take Manhattan.
Disney Jungle Book?
Yeah, because at
they would release it in the theater because you didn't have you didn't have VHSs.
Really, then. I mean, there was stuff, but it wasn't like how it is now, where you to buy whatever. It's barely, so they would. That Very was different. The thing, and also that was their thing. Disney was just like, that's why they didn't have any really new movies. You had The Rescuers a few years before that, but
I remember seeing 101 Dalmatians in the theater. I was probably like 8 or 9. I remember going to see that.
But they would release them, and that's the way they were going to make their money at the time. I forget who's ahead of Disney then. They weren't planning on to make a new
no, they just
Disney,
and they would make tons of money. They would make tons and tons of money.
Right.
And
you got 16 Candles, you got Top Secret, Never-Ending Story,
Whoa,
which is
Never-Ending
amazing.
Story.
Johnny Dangerously, which everybody and their mother quotes. Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo, which
Johnny Dangerously is
I love-
Farg and Ice Holes.
You'll
Yes,
find
man.
You're better than a sling.
You had Ice Pirates. To go back to the final list,
Children
which I
of the
skipped
Corn.
over. Children of the Corn,
Oh
which
man, that one ruined my
I
life.
love. There's so many good movies that came out that year. It's like ridiculous. So, like Children of the Corn was number 64 that year. You know, Top Secret was 52. Muppets Take Manhattan are 39. Like Bachelor Party was 19. Terminator was 21. These are all movies that like
How did Bachelor Party beat Terminator?
because those movies were big because of Animal House. Like Revenge of the Nerds, that was like those movies would do really well. Like when Hangover came out, Superbad, stuff like that. Those movies, that's where the money is because they don't cost much to make.
Right.
But you know, like I remember Red Dawn. My neighbor took me to see it, and I remember it freaked me out because, I mean, it's a corny movie. Like when they yell around Wolverines. I don't know if you ever saw the original Red Dawn. You never saw Red Dawn, Mozart?
No.
Patrick Swayze?
No.
There's a look on Corey Brown's face.
Have you seen it?
Yes.
I found out from Mozart's wife you haven't seen Gremlins.
I have not.
And
Mozart, you're gonna love it, dude.
I've seen like
It's a Christmas movie.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's true, but like being born in '84 and by the time I was 7, 1991, and therefore like every movie that's on here that I know I've watched on VHS or when it was on like Channel 11, 5, and at a point in time I was like, how much can it really hold my attention? So I used to go back.
Gremlins is one of
I used to
my
go back and
all-time
forth, though.
favorite
But I'm
movies.
also a fraidy cat, so therefore Gremlins.
It's
seven.
There's nothing scary about Gremlins. And maybe if you're 7, it's scary.
It's pretty
Exactly,
scary
it's
when you're a
7.
kid.
But
Actually, well, no, I mean, I don't think it. I mean, I remember going to the theater.
I
to
remember
see
being
it.
excited to see it. But I remember
Yeah.
seeing Red Dawn though because there's a scene where they're just like in a classroom. They look out the window and the paratroopers are just coming down and they're landing right in the field. And I remember I was in 2nd grade. I remember looking because the windows were very similar to my school. And I remember just like thinking like, what would we do if that happened? Unfortunately, now with all the violence and shootings in school, it's more realistic. But back then, you didn't think anything like that. It was like it's like ridiculous. And the fact that like Beverly Hills Cop, which Eddie Murphy was major star. I mean, I remember being a kid when you thought of Hollywood, you thought like Stallone and Schwarzenegger. Val Kilmer was Chevy Chase, like John Candy. Those were like the superstars. You're like, wow, these are guys on major film guys. But at Beverly Hills Cop, Eddie Murphy ruled the 80s. And then it kind of disappeared. But when you think about movies, like you don't ever think about that being a blockbuster. Like that was the #1 movie that year. But it made $234 million, which today's date is probably like half a billion.
Eddie
Wow.
Murphy
But
during
he
the
also-
80s was beyond superstar.
Yeah.
at
He
that
had
point in time.
two movies, comedy movies, Raw and Delirious. I mean, come
Yeah.
on, to put 2 movies out like on the regular screen, you're not on streaming or everything, to put out major things, you're selling a lot of tickets. You know what I mean? He was
huge.
He was huge.
Huge.
And the fact that like you think of how successful Karate Kid was, in the theater, it finished behind Ghostbusters, Indiana Jones, and Gremlins. But you'd probably think Karate Kid's bigger with all the sequels and everything like that. But like I remember seeing Karate Kid in the theater. I saw Ghostbusters in the theater. I saw Gremlins in the theater. Those I know for a fact. I saw Red Dawn. I'm not sure which other ones I saw that year, but I just can't believe there's this many movies because now when you look at the box office, you can probably pick out like 5 a year. Like, oh yeah, and then the rest like doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So most of them now are just Marvel movies anyway. So
Well, before we were talking about those two, especially Indiana Jones and Gremlins. They two both sparked the change in ratings.
yeah, Gremlins is unofficially the first PG-13 movie.
Oh.
Well, no, I think it was PG, and that sparked it.
That's what changed it.
With Indiana Jones and that, yeah, like.
Yeah, because it used to just be it's like with comic books. There was no code. They just put it out. So
Well, no,
that's
well,
what changed.
there was no.
It-
It was
It was
G, PG,
and then
R,
and
and
then
X.
X.
And
So
so
now
it's
there's
either
like-
was PG or like a lot of movies we saw as kids was just PG, like
Yeah.
would not be PG now. But then because it was so violent in all these movies, they added that 13 one in between.
Yeah, Gremlins. I was upset. I loved Gremlins. I remember the previews for it. I remember seeing Gizmo. I remember being obsessed with Stripe. And I couldn't wait for this movie to come out. What is with people when we do this?
Are you okay?
Just to be fair, okay, it's like 9:30 at night. Okay, I've been here since like 5 this morning. But that's regardless of the point. But we're all talking, we're BSing for like an hour before this happens. We finally start to do it, and last time Johnny gets a bloody nose, Mozart's got to run in the back to cough.
I just
Can you get it all,
sneezed.
or sneeze, whatever you're doing, can you go get it out?
I mean,
And Joe, are you gonna say anything else today?
Yeah, sure.
Except you're sucking
Yeah.
down. What is that? A cotton candy?
Cotton candy
Culotte?
culotte.
Like an extra large?
Corey does the podcast on top of like 20 long boxes in the back of Zapp Comics.
Because if I sit down, I will fall asleep. That's why I don't sit
and
down.
the thing is, we can't flip through them because when we flip through them and stuff, you hear
Don't do
things
it.
like this, right? But the thing is, when you got 3 guys around you that love comic books and we're standing around doing a podcast about nerd stuff, and we literally have comics in front of us, it is so hard to restrain myself from looking through a box. That's like it's like a first instinct. Like when you see a box, things go.
We'll fight the urge.
I'm fighting the urge, dude.
Did you see any of these movies I listed?
I saw a bunch.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go down the major one. I want you to get yes or no, and if you say no, you get a slap.
Have you seen any of them or no?
I've seen okay. Everyone I named I saw. What are you talking about? I probably missed some of them. It's crazy.
I don't know many on the third page.
The third page?
Mm.
Which is...
Wait, when did Top Gun come out?
Later.
86?
Yeah.
87?
Oh, okay.
That was like a real 80s movie. That was like in the middle of late 80s, yeah. Overrated. If you ask me.
84 is always like
Overrated?
Yeah,
that
Top Gun.
official.
I think I saw it once I was a kid. I have no interest in ever seeing it again or a sequel.
What?
I've never
I'm
seen
good.
it.
You never felt the need for speed?
He's never seen it.
You never saw
You know what? If you ever hear, if you
I'm not
ever,
anti-Top Gun, but it's just like,
if you ever hear Quentin Tarantino describe the movie, it would be like, just look it up, like his description of the movie, and you'll say.
I can tell you this.
I remember
Top
being
Gun?
on when I was a kid. Maybe like my family watched it a lot. It was always on.
That's the thing.
But I don't remember if I ever sat down and watched it from
So
beginning
for
to end.
me, if Top Gun came out in 86 or 87, let's say it's 87, I was 3. It's the first movie I remember. And my parents told me that I literally burned through 5 copies of the VHS because I just simply played it that often.
So
I
in between that, you couldn't watch Gremlins once?
was 3.
So what?
It's a Christmas movie, like Joe
Yeah.
said. They're cute.
I cried when Goose died. I can tell you that.
Spoilers.
Oh,
Who's Goose, by the way?
Who's Goose?
Which one's Goose?
Is that
Maverick's
Anthony
best
Michael
friend?
Hall? Is that not Anthony Michael?
He
Hall.
died in
who
the
is it?
training
The guy from
accident.
Top Gun's 86.
Benjamin
I remember
Rhodes,
that.
right?
Oh.
You know, it's one of those movies where it's been so long since I've actually seen it. I don't know if I could sit down and watch the whole thing again because I think it would be like, this is my problem. I didn't see any of the Alien movies until about 10 years ago, and my good bud Don Pordone, who works here,
Oh, nice.
I've known him for many years. He was on. He helped us out on one of the first podcasts we did like 5, 6, 7 years ago. He's a big Alien guy, so he got me like the first 3 or 4 box set. And I watched the first one and I loved it because it felt like Jaws just in space. I'm like, this is cool. You don't really see the
Jaws
alien.
in space.
You never really see the alien, and it's like it's dark. It's really cool. Then I watched Aliens, and mind you, I was very impressed with the aliens and how they looked and stuff like that. But the Marines in it and how they talked and how they were very 80s, like, you know, yeah, we got these big guns, we're gonna kill everything. I couldn't watch it. It was really hard to watch. But I think if I had seen it when it came out in '86 or whenever it came out, I think I would have appreciated it more.
You will not have that impression of Top Gun.
But
maybe I'll give it a try. I'll give it a shot. Maybe I'll watch it.
Give her a shot.
I will.
Come back in the next podcast.
Again, I'm
Tell us how
not
you feel about
anti
Top
Top Gun. I just don't understand the hoopla.
If you don't shed a tear when Goose dies,
I'm not shedding a tear.
you will.
I'm not.
You
Who
have
plays
to shed
him?
a tear. I don't know his name.
Well, wait a minute. You've seen the movie 850,000 times, but you don't know who played. Who was the name again? Goose?
Goose. Call name Goose.
You don't know the actor who plays him?
I don't remember. Just Tom Cruise and everybody else.
Val
Was it-
Kilmer's in it.
was
Val
it
Kilmer.
Yeah.
It's Anthony Edwards.
Was
Yeah.
it Kelly McGinnis?
Yeah, she's
Isn't it?
Anthony Edwards. You know, from
ER?
ER, from Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, yeah. I am not crying when that guy dies. I'm sorry.
Not
Sorry.
The
crying.
pain.
Anyways, so Police Academy, I remember watching as a kid over and over and over again. Karate Kid, of course, I remember seeing in the theater. When I saw Ghostbusters in the theater opening night, I don't know if it was opening night, but we went to like the big theater, and I remember people dress up like Ghostbusters, like in the crowd, like helping out the line and stuff like that. Because it was like an event back then. Because you didn't have all the theaters you have now. You had like the little tiny theater randomly in some town that just played like all the B movies or like the movie that'd been out for a while, and you went to the main one, which was like in a bigger town or city to see. And we went to Brockton, which is a big town by me in Massachusetts, and that's where we saw the big releases.
If you remember, how much was the movies back then?
I do. I was 7. I didn't pay for it. My dad
I wasn't paying attention.
I mean,
Probably a couple
I remember when
bucks.
I was a kid, like it was still like you'd go like $6.50. Like I remember like.
But that's when we were 7, 6,
No,
7.
I don't know. I mean, it was probably cheaper,
like
but I remember
$4 or
when
$5.
going myself
Wow.
and it was $6.50. So it was like, I remember when going for a date and you would spend for $20 you could get
Like,
2 tickets and
pizza and Coke
and get food with it with $20.
It's very different
A
now.
ticket and a half now.
Yeah, it's very different. But no, I just can't believe like at the bottom of the list, like some of these like Reckless is on here too. You know that Cloak and the Dagger. I know it's like kind of like a obscure one, but that's a fun movie. And
What is the Little Drummer Girl? I've never heard of that movie.
I don't know.
I know what we're talking about.
It's on the list.
But like Never Ending Story.
It's on that list.
Like Never Ending Story, that is such a fan favorite for so many people, so many generations, and it was number 54 that year. Like it's ridiculous. I mean, I guess it made the money it needed to make, and it made a sequel to it. But I just think like I remember I don't know if I saw it in the theater, but I watched it.
I remember seeing it.
You see, my mother worked at a video store. It was called Curtis Mathis. I think it was single owned. I don't know if they had multiple. I don't know if it was a chain, but so she would just bring movies home all the time, and that's how we would watch them. We had you had a VHS and you threw it in there, and you would watch. So most of the movies to Mozart's Top Gun, as painful as it is. See, I've never seen Conan, mostly because my uncle was big into it, and every time I was over there, he'd have like Star Trek on, Conan or Superman, and when I was a kid, I was bored out of my mind because I'm like, I want to watch cartoons. I want to watch like Transformers or He-Man or whatever. So I think the movie that really got me into things was Gremlins because it was dark. And back then the horror movies weren't scary. Like Friday the 13th, it's not scary. My mother would just wait for if the girl's top came off. She'd say, "Close your eyes." That's all we would never did. There was nothing scary. My parents were never worried about us being scared. If I showed my 6-year-old one of these movies, she would never sleep the rest of her life.
Gremlins was scary when I was a kid. Dude, seeing Gremlins probably a couple of years after that. I was born in '84, but I have vivid memories of that movie as a child and definitely being like frightened of it. It was awesome.
It's the same thing I remember seeing on. Well, it wasn't. I didn't see it in the theaters, but on HBO at the time, though, was Poltergeist.
Oh my
Oh,
god,
that movie's that still holds up. Some of the effects are kind of crappy, but that movie still holds up.
The scene with the graves coming out at the end when the house is falling apart, yeah, that's like hellish.
You ever see
yeah.
Poltergeist?
With the clown.
Oh jeez.
With where the clown does, and then under the bed.
Yeah,
and,
and his arms come out.
or the tree. Like if you
the
go,
tree, that tree,
the tree outside
out the
the
window.
house.
Yeah,
You get all those
I'm
things
good.
you could like.
a very interesting movie. It was a great movie. Craig T. Nelson's in it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it has no cuteness factor like Gremlins has. You know what I'm saying? At least the Gremlins.
Oh yeah, Gizmo was cute.
Oh, yeah, even though it's a scary
Yeah.
movie, it's a Christmas movie. It's
To put a sidebar with it, you saw Incredibles 2, right?
Yes, fantastic, fun
It's a
film.
great movie.
fantastic.
Fun
So
film.
everybody tries to do like Easter egg stuff and everything like that. So like some stuff, okay, that's cool, whatever. But then some people just stretch it. Like Joelle was reading to me. She's like, yeah, because the
Joelle is Johnny's wife, if you don't know.
thank you. Jack is the baby, and he has all these powers. So one of the powers, he can go into like another dimension, and then he comes back. Like they don't, So somebody puts it because it's Craig T. Nelson, because that's the thing. Like in the movie, like his daughter goes into like the other side, like through the TV, or no, well through the door. Actually, not through the TV, through the closet.
In the closet, yeah.
And the thing, so they're saying, well, it's another dimension, so Craig T. Nelson, so it's a poltergeist connection and everything. I'm like, no, that's a stretch. That is no way is that the thing. And I was just like sometimes I'll give you it's an Easter egg,
Yeah.
but that's just, it has it's no way similar at all.
Yeah, some people just like to, stir things
Well,
up.
exactly, like, I'm
reaching
being
for
smart.
eggs.
You know what it is too now? Like when we were younger, there was like a lot of like these legends, and you just kind of believed
Yeah,
them
you
because your
couldn't-
parents, so you couldn't look it up. So now it's different. Like you can actually research these things to see if they're actually true. Because every now I love looking at these weird sites pop up, top 10 urban myths that aren't true that you thought they were, and it's a lot of things like the Pop Rocks one with the the kid with the
Oh,
coke.
yeah, Pop Rocks.
Or and then
Yeah.
it was what's his face, Mikey.
Mikey, from the Life
Life
cereal
cereal,
boxes
yep.
and stuff like that. So you weren't sure, but you can't we're spoiled now. You can just
Yeah, you could just-
Google it. And
Well,
then
the
look things
thing
up.
that's sad about too is there's so many things that people still don't look up stuff, and they still believe whatever.
No, I
puts
know
on
they don't.
Facebook or whatever. And it's
That's
like,
why, like, anytime a headline comes up and I'm like, it doesn't look right, look at the site, because it's usually like The Onion or something, or look at the date.
Well,
Because if
also-
it's April 1st, or if it's a date from like 4 years ago, you're like, okay, this isn't real.
But also the label on the post says
Yeah.
like sponsored or ad.
Yeah.
It's like
But sometimes you can tell it's fake. But people fall for it and they just start sharing.
There's like
it
1,000
crazy.
comments on it, and people arguing. It's like,
It's crazy.
Did you
It's very
read the
crazy.
article?
Terminator. People hate me for this. I love the first Terminator.
Love it.
It was so good. It was so like he didn't say much. It was like he was almost had like a Jason feel to him. Like he was always there, and he somehow caught up. Even though he was slow. Very creepy. The end scene, the effects are really bad, where it kind of get crushed. But I understand it's 1984. But
if you're about to say something bad about Terminator 2, you're crazy.
Well, it's like the thing
I absolutely, positively have no interest, and I do not like. I won't talk about it. I don't want to see it. Terminator 2.
What?
I've never seen the full movie. I've seen it in pieces together. I can't watch it. It does nothing for me. It does absolutely nothing for me. I see clips of it. I see quotes from it. I don't care. Terminator 1 is it's like Aliens. Alien is fantastic. Aliens, no thank you. Terminator, love it.
If you're listening to this podcast and you know Corey in real life, make sure when you come into Zapp next time and you like Terminator 2, give him a real hard time about
everybody likes Terminator 2. What
you
am I
watch
saying?
the whole thing.
Everybody likes Terminator 2. I just don't. I don't like it. I didn't see it in the theater. I remember it was on a couple times, but I put Terminator 2 in the same box that I put Civil War in.
Oh. You mean like the recent
movie?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, dude.
It's called the No Thank You box.
Damn, corny striking the hammer.
And I know
hard.
I'm in the minority. I don't care. Whatever. You guys, it's your movie. You guys can have it. Do what you want with it. And I don't want it. I'm not saying it's not good. It's just not for me.
All right. What about Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines? Any good?
I don't know.
You never watched any of the Terminators?
I saw one. I loved it, and I started watching 2, and I said no, thank you.
Not to go against
no,
them,
thank you.
But I haven't seen any of them. I saw parts of Terminator 1. Like I saw the
Terminator
part where it
1's
takes out
good.
the eye.
Yeah, Terminator 1's
But
good.
again, I have no interest.
Very good. It's very Terminator 1 is very, very
The
good.
other ones
really
I didn't watch it when I was in the theater, and
I just don't care.
It
doesn't interest
I've
me.
watched them all trying to connect the timeline.
That's the thing. It just falls apart. Like each time, it just kind of makes.
I don't care.
It's more.
I've read about them.
It's more and more convoluted every movie, but like I like sagas, so I just continue to watch those.
One thing.
And I hate Gremlins too. I don't like it at all.
Really, I love Gremlins too.
Dude,
that is
crazy.
such a fun movie. It's a different type of movie. It's like it's more comedic. It's not the horror thing, but it's fun. Like
hey, if it's on, I watch it.
Come on,
if it's on, I will kind of watch it because some of the Gremlins are kind of cool. The movie itself is not good, and it's the same thing with Ghostbusters.
Christopher Lee's in it.
It's like Ghostbusters 2. I don't like it all.
What, dude? We're gonna fight right now.
Yeah, it's a weak movie. I'm not a huge fan.
Ghostbusters 2 is weak.
I don't like it. It's missing. It's missing something from
it.
I
hope people on the internet are backing me up right now. Ghostbusters 2 is one of the greatest movies ever.
What?
Vigo, the Master of Evil. The best thing is which one?
No.
Why don't you say that?
What are you talking about?
What?
Vigo, the Master of Evil. Trying to ground my boys. It's not legal. Oh, Bobby Brown. Bobby Brown did the soundtrack.
He sure did. Too hot to handle,
too cold to hold.
You call it Ghostbusters
and they're in control.
I
don't think that's part of it.
To be fair, though, I haven't seen Ghostbusters 2 in since the early 90s. When did it come out? 89? Like that?
Probably, yeah.
So my memories of it are very distant. So maybe if I rewatch it, I can give it. I'll give that another shot.
No, but I agree.
I don't. It doesn't.
For me, it's weak.
I'm not. It's gonna be. I like some weak movies. Some weak movies I can sit through. But I don't. I just don't need. I don't need it.
A lot of weak movies on that list of movies from 1984. There.
Oh.
You ever seen Never Ending Story?
They recorded.
Have you?
It was.
Yes.
Never Ending Story.
Have you?
But it was it's 20 years ago at this point. I don't remember it.
When that horse.
Atreyu?
Is it not Atreyu? Is it the horse?
No,
that's the kid's name.
Is the boy.
When the horse is in the mud, he's gonna leave it in there, man. That is one of the most heartbreaking scenes in any movie ever.
It's like the despair.
Because my mom consoled me after Bambi.
I know mine is the Fox and the Hound. I had to leave the theater.
Oh, the Fox and the Hound.
I never got upset over it because I knew it wasn't real. What it is? It bothers me now when I watch stuff because I talk about this with people that have pets. When you have for me, when I had growing up, I always had pets. We had pets, like cats, dogs, whatever. And they're yours, but they're not. So when something, it's sad when they, passed away or whatever. But now before I had children, obviously I had, I had cats and a dog, whatever. When they're yours and you raise them and you take them, when I watch a movie and I see an animal get hurt, it's really hard to watch because you just picture your animals. And it's very different. It's like now I don't like, obviously, because they're yours. Like with kids, it's one thing, but like
it's like kids. When you
but
have
I'm saying
kids,
though,
it's just like
it's like I could watch a movie like 20 years ago and something happens to the dog, whatever, it stinks, and I don't like it. But now when I watch it, I can't watch it. Like I Am Legend, I can't watch it.
Yeah,
that scene, I'll leave the room. I cannot watch
that was
it.
a tough scene.
I cannot watch it. Bothered. I made a mistake of seeing Marley and Me, which was a very good movie. But I'll never see it again.
So you like Marley and Me, but not Ghostbusters 2 and Terminator 2.
Yep.
Question: I saw a movie on that list you have there of movies of 1984. Supergirl? Is that like us? Our people or no? Yeah. That's our people?
Yeah.
Our people.
You know what I'm saying? Or is that like some other movie that's just called Supergirl?
No, it was Supergirl. It was what's her face? I can't remember. I think is Clark Kent in it? Like.
I never saw it.
Really?
Oh,
I'm trying to remember. I think Witch Girl was definitely in it. I think Jimmy Olsen in the beginning. And she goes, and it's like with Argo, and like it's like they're in the other dimension kind of thing. And there's a witch. It's like in an amusement park. I haven't seen it in a lot. Like I think from 84, I think is when I saw it. But
one of my favorite movies is on here too. Is Children of the Corn. This movie freaked me out.
Yeah, that
frightened me out as a child, dude.
Because to me, real horror and suspense is when you don't really see what's going on and you have to envision it.
Your imagination
like right now, we're in the store, the lights are off in the front. If there's someone at the front door that say there was a bear out there, okay, and it's at the door, if you can't see it, it's more frightening than if I see a big spotlight. You're like, oh crap, there's a bear, but you know what it is. When you don't know what it is, it bothers me. And Children of the Corn, there's scenes where the guy's on the side of the road and he's running through the cornfield and he gets killed. And the briefcase is there. You just see the blood dripping on the briefcase. And the worst one was, I'm from a very, very small town in Massachusetts. My high school class had like 100 kids in it. We used to eat at the same restaurant all the time. It was like a little family-owned restaurant. We knew everybody. There's a scene. Have you seen Children of the Corn? Have you? You? You didn't see Gremlins? Okay, anyways. I was 3. Children of the Corn, which I probably saw when I was like 5 or 6. There's a scene where they're in the diner and they lock the doors. It's like a Sunday morning, whatever, and they just kill them. But you just see blood splatting everywhere and stuff like that. And they're not hurting the kids; they're hurting the adult. And that stuff is just embedded in my brain. And I guess I was probably 5, 6, 7, 8 years old because I moved in 1985 to the house my parents still live in now, and I saw these before that. So I think of that because I was 8 years old when I saw these movies. Like, and it I'm not scarred by it, but like there's certain things in your head that stick with you because they're very, very clear in my head. I mean, the whole Malachi crap at the end when it's really bad.
Malachi.
Yeah, that kid, I couldn't wait for him to die. But so that was that. And then Top Secret, there's a couple cool scenes in it too. But.
Before you missed this one.
What?
It's the top of the list. We didn't talk about it.
What?
Indiana Jones.
Hello.
Temple of Doom. That is.
You ever seen that one, Corny?
Indiana Jones. Temple of Doom is the one I grew up on because we watched it all the time on
Hulu.
No, it was on HBO or whatever it was, and I just remember the heart.
Yep.
When he rips the heart out, like that freaked me out.
The bug scene.
Yeah, the bug scene. The Raiders of the Lost Ark. I probably saw it once or twice when I was younger, and I was bored with it. Cause it's not as it's very straightforward, and it's just like good guy, bad guy. Temple of Doom has a lot of other aspects to it, like and it's funnier. It's more mainstream, I guess, but a lot of people don't like that one.
That was always I always ranked it last when I always put over the 4. I don't count the 5th one. But I liked it. I like it more as I grew older. But I saw them all since I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark in the theater, all of them and it grew on me. But I remember as a kid going to see Temple and seeing in the beginning they sing in Cantonese or Mandarin. I don't know what they're singing. They're singing Anything Goes. But like I remember as a kid like saying, "Are we in the right theater?" Because they didn't put anything up for it. They didn't put it just starts with that, and they're singing. They're doing a show tune, and like, is this Indiana Jones? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I like that movie. I just my favorite one's Last Crusade.
It's a good movie.
Do you know why? I think that I wasn't in high school yet. I think I was in junior high, and it was on all the time in the summer in the middle of the day when we come in, and with the 10 channels we had, there was nothing on. So when you go to the premium channel, which is HBO or Showtime, whatever it was, or Cinemax, that was on a lot. I remember watching it all the time, and it was just, it was kind of fun, and I enjoyed it. It's like my favorite Star Wars movie is Return of the Jedi. It's not the best one, but it's my favorite one. It's the only one I saw in the theater as a kid, and I was like, I remember like, the Royal Guards and the speeder bikes and stuff like that, and the Ewoks. So when I was 6, 7 years old, I was amazed by it. So now when you look at it, it's not the best one. Empire is obviously the best one. My favorite one though is Jedi.
You're my favorite one. It's Zapp.
I saw Empire.
Yeah, I was 3.
3. I was 4. Well,
I had seen them on whatever we watched on HBO or whatever.
But you know what? See, the thing is, because again, it's the experience. Because I went to there's a theater on 46. It's not there anymore. It's like an Annie Says or something. And there was a Staples or something. But it used to be a theater right there down from the Toys R Us. And I remember going there, and there was somebody there dressed up as Darth Vader.
Were you scared?
I was a little bit. I was 4.
I remember seeing Jedi, and Jedi was 83. I remember people being dressed up as like Star Wars characters.
But the theater did it.
The theater, not people.
Up,
when I say dress up, I mean the theater with the staff. Yes, thank you, Joe, for finally saying something. The staff. Joe doesn't shut up anywhere else. For some reason, the 2 podcasts, you don't say anything.
I let you talk, and I just kind of chime in with a couple of loud voices here and there. That's all.
A couple of loud voices.
Yeah, so Purple Rain.
Hey! Sorry, go ahead.
Purple Rain, of course, is a classic with Prince. I can't believe Breakin' and Breakin' 2 came out the same year.
Well, they had to get that out.
I know.
They had to get
I used to breakdance like crazy with my brother and my neighbor in my front yard. We used to put cardboard down. My dad would bring cardboard home from work, and we would do like head spins.
You were breakdancing fool on the front lawn.
We were probably awful.
I've asked for pictures, and he says
I don't have any pictures of me breakdancing, but we would do that. We would breakdance. We would play the soundtracks, and it was fantastic. We loved it. Breaking and what was the one? Is it Breaking 2? The one with they spray paint on everything? I can't remember the movies. There's one that they're all the graffiti artists are in and stuff like that, and one of them gets by the train, with the subway. I don't know if that's Breaking. I don't remember. I gotta look this stuff up. I remember the movie Rad. Remember the movie Rad?
Yeah, with the BMX.
The BMX dude.
Really?
I don't know if it was 80.
Rad?
It was 85.
You're Rad.
It's called Rad. It was fantastic. I loved it. I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but it was
Solar
so good.
Babies.
Solar Babies and Explorers, all these fun films from the 80s. But I know this off from 84, but
86.
86. Yeah, a lot of good stuff here, man. A lot of good stuff.
How did we not talk about Karate Kid
then? I did. We haven't got to it yet. We're gonna go back up.
Karate Kid. That movie captured like my imagination like no other. Especially when it became a conversation at the lunch table and like in grade school.
Yeah.
Kids were like literally testing their martial arts aptitude to be able to do
the thing with Karate Kid was very much like Michael Jackson. The crane kick and the moonwalk, like it was just one of those things that everybody was doing. Everybody did it. You got to try it. Nobody could do it. Well, and Karate Kid, I remember because I know the 70s had that kung fu boom. Mm-hmm. With the song and then all the comic books and whatever.
What song?
And,
everybody was kung fu fighting.
And if you can't see me, I just did the whitest dance you'll ever see.
Corey just danced.
And Mozart actually just really cringed. I apologize, Mozart.
Oh my god.
I let it slide, Corey.
And my wife, who is Latina, can dance like crazy. I'm sure she's cringing and she's not even here. She's seen me dance. She doesn't look at me. I only dance for my kids because they don't care yet.
Oh, you dance in the show.
Oh my god! Yeah, wait till they start caring.
Yeah, my daughter's gonna be like, "Dad, just stop." That's gonna happen. Like,
go read a comic book,
still
Dad.
Cool. I'm still the cool dad when my daughter would do everything. I know soon enough she's gonna be like, "Yeah, Dad, you know what?
You suck."
Well, that's when stay in the car.
Well, that's when you switch and you start doing your breakdancing.
Yeah, no.
It just goes back to cool.
Then you go crazy.
I remember as a kid. I'm sorry, Jamal. As a kid, we were at a wedding. I don't know whose wedding it was, and me and my brother were breakdancing and we're doing the worm on the floor and stuff. And we thought we were the hits of the whole thing, and then somebody came over and said, "Yeah, you can't do that." And we were so like, "Well, weddings can be boring." We had a blast. I'll have to ask my mother if she remembers what. I don't know what wedding it was. What were you gonna say?
I'm sorry. I don't remember anymore. The fact that you did the worm at a wedding.
Oh yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah, the middle of the dance floor, man.
Oh man, where was YouTube when you needed it?
There was nothing. There was nothing.
That was great.
Man, that it just brings up the gigantic difference between 1984 back then and now is that you're like probably the last generation that's able to say, I don't have pictures of that. I can't show you that video.
Yeah,
I can't
you
show
know what's funny?
Because your kids and all the kids now, every single thing that they do will be
yeah.
able to just be on the internet.
Yeah,
You know?
true. Our generation, we had we're like the in-betweens.
We do. So, we
like,
do have some home videos.
I have tons of pictures. I don't have a lot of video.
But nothing's on the internet, you know?
No, nothing's on the internet. My parents, they'll stay off of
Yeah, but see, we didn't have disposable cameras, like really. You know, we had like real cameras.
So if
you know what I
you
mean?
took a picture and it was deliberate.
Yeah.
We're
You
taking
know what I mean?
a
Like
picture.
like the throwaway ones, and we
yeah.
didn't really have that. You had to have a
film.
radio camera go to film, and you couldn't tell what it looked like until you developed it.
You're right.
Yeah.
But like we just didn't. My family's not really like that. We don't take pictures. If we did, we took a picture of something. Like you know when you go to the zoo and you're like, oh, all our things was like all the animals, and you look at everybody else's family, it's like, oh, it's them in front of the animals. And I'm like,
There's a
what?
picture of Corry and a couple of baboons.
And I'm like, why? Why are they doing that? And then I'm like, now I realize because 20 years later, I did a bunch of pictures of animals and I had pictures in front of the thing. So yeah, it's one of those. It's like I had a rotary phone. I don't know if you know what a rotary phone
Yeah, I
is.
had a rotary phone.
We had them, so I couldn't. Sometimes we want to order something. I couldn't order it because if it says dial hit 1,
There's
it
no
doesn't
one,
work.
baby.
Can it go not ding? So we couldn't use it. Like in I never forget when I finally got my parents live in the Stone Age, so my parents still don't have cell phones. They've never had one. They have no intention of having one. Okay. I'll never forget when I finally got my mother a laptop, and we were getting her to use it. It was probably like 15 years ago, I guess.
Roughly.
12 years ago. I don't know. I had to call up and get her internet. Because when I was living at home, we still had like AOL, like
Dial-up.
the dial-up thing.
Oh, wow.
So we're getting it wireless. They had to. Back in the day, you paid another $1 a month, I guess, to get touch tone. Okay, it's instead of rotary.
Yeah, touch tone.
Okay, and
Oh
I think that
God.
just went away. But my mother's like, I'm not paying for it. So when we called in the early 2000s to say, hey, we need to switch it. First off, the woman on the phone was like, I don't know what rotary is. And then when she learned what it was, she's like, hold on a minute. She was gone forever. A guy came back on and had to talk us through it. And he pretty much said, like, I think you're the last person on Earth in this part of the world that still has a rotary phone. Like, because they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to shut it off.
Aw.
There wasn't even an option anymore. It was like one of those things like, what?
But wait, what do you have to shut off? Isn't that just a landline?
Yeah, you
It's
just
just a
unplug it.
landline, right?
No, they had to switch everything over. And, like, it was still as rotary. Like, that jack only worked as rotary.
Because you had all the jacks were like analog rather than the digital.
So,
Oh.
yeah, it was pretty funny. So if you dialed the number, it was, like 973. It was like,
Yeah.
And you screwed up.
We had that.
you had to do it over again.
and
You
do it all over
again.
Yeah.
So.
I had that in the house.
But the thing that
No
kids
remote on the TV.
kids don't realize now is like when you get something about getting mad and slamming the phone down. And it felt
true.
good. You're like, you know what? F you. Boom! Now you can't do that because
Without
you're like,
breaking your phone, it was
I gotta hit the
$600.
button.
You know what they have now because someone brought that up.
Okay.
I was reading an article, watching a video like a couple months ago. They have an app
Yeah, but it's,
that allows you to hang up the phone.
yeah, but it's not the same because
I
you
mean-
can't throw the phone because then you're throwing down a 500 piece of equipment.
Yeah, exactly. You destroy
And
it.
they don't hear it. It
Yeah,
just
they don't
cuts
hear it.
off. There's something about like slam in here.
Yeah.
There's just something about it that's gone. It's just it's gone. One of those things.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Because we were Johnny and I were in that generation where our experiences weren't that much different than our parents. They had maybe black and white TV to color. Like touch tone to rotary phones.
Well, that's the thing too.
Cordless
Like,
phones. That's it. There wasn't much else.
well, like if you
like cassettes to 8 tracks or records, whatever. It wasn't. But now it's like our generation to now. It's just like it's completely different. Like when I talk to the guys that are in their 20s, their generation, I'm like, what? Like they don't understand it sometimes.
I'm sure if you went like to your grandparents, they had black and white TVs still. Some of them. Like,
Of course, I had a
like,
black and white TV in my
well, I mean,
basement. I
I-
used to play my Atari on a black and white TV.
I had a black and white TV in my room.
My mother
But-
didn't
but-
like
but-
remote controls. I had to get up and change the thing.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yes.
My mother's like, I don't need that. I'm like, what do you mean you don't need that?
Well, no.
Now
My
she can't
father
live
used
without it.
my father used to sit on the couch, use the remote, and then stuff it, unbeknowingly to him, stuff it in between the cushions. And then we want to change the channel. I'm like, Dad, the show's coming on. And at that point in time, there's no DVR. I couldn't pause,
you missed it.
pause the thing. I couldn't record it because my parents using a VHS recorder was terrible.
Yeah.
At that point in time, but it's just like digging through the couch to find the remote. It's crazy.
Oh my god.
It's nuts. It's a very, very different world now.
Yeah. Now when I lose the remote, I just use the app on my phone. Like,
Yeah. I know. And like to go back to the movies, 16 Candles.
Classic.
That is such a cult classic.
You love it?
I'm
asking.
It's one of those things where I want to say I don't remember if I've seen the whole thing.
Okay.
I probably saw it at some point in my life. I know I know all the scenes that people talk about, but I don't think I've ever seen it.
But of course, most of these movies would be heavily like censored now.
True.
Yeah.
Oh, it
Because
could be made
you know,
today.
what is the automobile?
Yeah.
You know, like with that. And,
it's very it's very different.
But with that, this again, like what was it rated?
I don't know. It doesn't say.
Wait, the thing. Let's see. Because in there,
It's probably PG.
it was PG, and there's boobs in the movie.
A lot or little?
Because PG just means parental guidance, so it's up to the
They
parent.
went and
you know?
like, well, I mean, they were in the girls' bathroom, and they showed like there was just there, like, and it was just like as a kid, of course, you're all like, yeah, boobs, you know, but it's a PG movie. Like in the early '80s, like they were like everywhere. You know what I mean? Now, like PG movie, that's not.
Because I guess
like,
too, you know what it is too, Bo. You know what it is too. You're just seeing them. It's
Well,
not.
yeah.
There's no act involved in it.
But
So
there's
it's like
nothing-
now, like you walk in on your mother or whatever. Everybody's seen them because you just walk
Hello,
in.
Mom.
You open the door, your mom's
How
getting
did we
changed.
get there?
You know what I'm saying? No, it's like you know what I mean.
You know what I mean?
It
That is
wasn't.
never normal.
It wasn't. No, I'm not saying normal, but like you know what I mean. Like you don't understand. Like my kids, right?
I
When
understand
you have
what you're
little
saying.
kids, there's no locked doors in your house. So you're in the shower, they just come in and like they talk to you. They don't talk to you through the curtain. They go like this, "Hey," and I'm like, well, "Can I help you?" You know, I mean, they come in. They come in. They just come in. My wife's friend was staying for the weekend, and it's an old friend of her mother's. We call her aunt, whatever. She was in the bathroom, and my daughter went in there and was talking to her, and she's like, "I couldn't go." Because because she's looking at me. I just, I don't know how to do that. Like, what? No, I mean, when I'm in the bathroom, I won't talk to you. The door's shut. Don't talk to me.
Yeah. That's a me time.
Don't talk to me.
That's
Those
corny
people,
time.
people are on the phone in the bathroom. No, if I know you're on the other line, I hang up. If I ever call you, Joe, and you're in your
You hear an echo on there, you know what's going on, bro.
Are you in the recording studio? Or you're in
Studio, bro. Mac cranking out some killer jams.
Yeah, no.
I always text you. I always like, oh, just made it.
Yeah, this guy updates me.
Well, usually I'm here, and then I have percolations.
And he takes off.
So he knows I'm leaving, and I usually I text him.
I just made it. I'm like,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks for letting us know.
I don't want to be rude, but I had to go.
But if he leaves,
Oh my god.
if he leaves like after a show we do at midnight, and it takes him 2 hours to get home, and 2 a.m, he doesn't text me, "Hey, I made it home," but he'll text me when he runs down the street.
Well, that's important.
Does it take you 2 hours to get home?
No, I'm just saying in general. No, I mean, you never know.
Hopefully, I didn't get hit by a deer. So.
Yeah.
Unreal.
So, 84 was a fun year. I mean,
Oh man.
I mean, Splash is a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks?
And he also has his bachelor party. It was a big year for him.
Oh, that's right. He was in Bachelor Party as well. Tom Hanks was really good year. Revenge of the Nerds. See, I don't think I've ever seen Bachelor Party. Revenge of the Nerds I saw a lot when I was a kid. I remember like Porky's, Revenge of the Nerds. They're all the same.
All those, like the teen sex comedies things.
Yeah.
Johnny
That was
Dangerously was who? Chris Capo and who?
No,
Michael Keaton.
Yep, Michael
okay.
Keaton.
Remember he's polishing the turtle? And he has, what's her
Right.
name? The redheaded lady. Mary Lou Hanna.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. Yes.
Which girl was in it? Dom DeLuise.
Yeah, it was a great movie. Fun.
Mary Lou Henner, like from Taxi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
She was his girlfriend, right? Yeah.
She has a I don't know what they call it, but if you ask her,
Yeah, she
like,
remembers
what-
every day.
like if you say to her, okay, in 1983, no, where did you get those red heels from? She'll say, I bought those on July 2nd, 1983 at 4 o'clock at the store.
Wow.
Jeez.
And you say, okay, where'd you get this from? She'll say, okay, I was the second day of school, so it was like September 4th. I was in 5th grade, and she'll say the year and where. She'll know exactly where she bought it. She has that memory like that.
That's insane.
It's Chipper Jones.
Chipper Jones.
You know Chipper Jones?
Brave?
Hall of Famer for the Braves. He remembered every single pitch from every pitcher he ever faced.
That's nuts.
He used to write it down, then he just stopped. So if you say, okay, when you face Roger Clemens, he's like, okay, what the third time you saw him? Okay, fastball, inside cutter, fastball, and that's what it is. He remembered every single anybody. He'd say, oh yeah, I know exactly what pitch, even if he saw him 100 times. That's crazy.
That is nuts.
Crazy.
I listened to a song, one of my favorite songs. I can't sing it until it starts playing, and I have to sing along with it. So I don't know how it happens. I had this conversation with Ruben today because he was like singing a song, and he goes, "You're not gonna sing along with me?" I'm like, "I don't know the words." He's like, "You play this all the time." I said, "Yeah, but I don't remember it. That stuff doesn't stay with me. I can't do it." I remember a face I saw, and I'm like, "Oh my god, that person was an episode of Seinfeld, like whatever." And my wife's like, "What?" But I can't remember what happened yesterday.
Unbelievable.
It's one of those things. My best friend growing up, Ryan Cruz, his brother, I used to hate because we'd watch a commercial. As soon as the commercial ended for the first time, he'd get up and act it out and recite it word for word. I'm like, I can't. How do you do that? How do you do that? And you got guys that, remember every pitch of everything they've ever seen. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's unheard of. It's outrageous.
Outrageous. Inconceivable.
That wasn't from this year.
Unreal.
Yeah, and Taxi's a fun show. I want to go back and watch them. I haven't watched them since I was a kid. When I was a kid, my grandfather, who was one of my favorite people on this planet when he was around, he used to watch me. I would sit there, and I used to get so bored because he'd watch All in the Family and Taxi, and I'm like, oh my god,
I so love All.
Because it's prime time after school. I want to watch cartoons, and then the news would come on. I'm like, oh god, and there's no internet, whatever. I would just play with the toys there.
Tony
whatever.
Dan's a Taxi, right?
Yeah, and I remember, and then when I got older, I realized how awesome All in the Family was.
All in the Family's so good.
And I'm like, man, but I was little, I wouldn't understand All in the Family, but I just
yeah.
remember he watched it, and I just remember like how happy he was watching it. 'Cause that show was fantastic.
And groundbreaking.
I remember for Taxi, I remember because it used to be, because I didn't like, because it was coming to like, not, because it used to be on 9:30. And then the song, the theme song is is iconic, with the.
I watched Taxi because it was on reruns.
Well,
like,
yeah,
Mm-hmm. Nick at Night.
But when it was
no,
actually
it was before Nick at Night.
Oh,
It
before
was
Nick
like
at
on
Night.
like it, like
Channel
now they'll show
Was
like
that TV Land?
No,
it was
like
a
channel.
regular channel.
Yeah, like Channel 11, Channel
yeah,
5
yeah,
would play
yeah.
reruns.
But didn't that used to come on after the news? After like
What?
the Taxi? Reruns
Well,
of Taxi?
Well, not like when
Depends
it
on
was
where you are.
originally run.
That's true.
No, but it was on at like at midday. Like mid-afternoon before dinner, or whatever. Because I remember Three's Company, Taxi. I think Cheers was coming on, like the older episodes of Cheers.
No, well, that came a little bit later.
I'm trying to think. I remember Three's Company.
Gilligan's Island.
Oh no, Welcome Back, Kotter. Happy Days.
Back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And The Odd Couple.
Yes, The Odd Couple.
Yes.
That's a great one.
And at night was
Fun.
always Honeymooners.
I hate the Honeymooners.
It was always
Really?
like at night.
I hated it.
How could you hate The Honeymooners?
It's black and
Yeah.
white.
Black and white.
It's just.
And I found it boring. It was just boring.
Or MASH. MASH used to be on it.
MASH I never watched. I thought it was
Oh,
boring.
yeah, MASH I never watched.
I
I used to watch Hogan's Heroes.
I used to love the Honeymooners. I used to have a crush on his wife.
What was her name? Alice, right?
Yeah.
To the moon, Alice.
Oh.
To the moon.
See,
Alice.
Jackie Gleason
I
to
thought she was
me.
great.
Jackie Gleason to me was the toy.
Yes.
The movie The Toy
Great
with
movie. Richard
Pryor.
Pryor.
Right.
Jackie
Wonder
Gleason.
Wheel, don't die.
Jackie Gleason's like a rich mogul, and his son's like this little brat, and he buys whatever he wants, and he hires Richard Pryor.
ends up like he's looking for a job, so he ends up working at one of this guy's department stores, and he's like cleaning and everything. So the kid is at like a military school, so they bring
He's
him
a
like the
brat.
father has no time for him.
He's
so,
a brat. Which depends on the way he's raised.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole thing. So all the corporate people bring him to the toy like to pick whatever he wants. So he sees Richard Pryor, and they have a Wonder Wheel. It's like this giant like wheel that you could get in and it rolls. So he's rolling it, and he ends up deflating it. So he thinks it's funny. So he wants him, and he's like, and it's Richard Pryor. So of course it's very racial and stuff. So he's like, there's no slavery or anything. He's like, no, we'll pay it. So they just keep giving him money, and just to stay with the boy, whatever. So he ends up moving and like becoming his friend and like
his buddy. He
basically,
becomes
yeah.
like an uncle, and it's rich, so they have like go-karts and all this other
Yeah,
stuff. And
the
it's
whole
fun
toy,
all
like
day.
filled,
when I was
exactly.
younger, I don't know if it holds up. When I was younger, me and my brother would watch that all
It was a
the
good- yeah.
time. I hope it's still good. I don't know. I haven't watched
it's
it.
And then
good
it's like bring them together like again.
And that's
as
how
a
I knew
family.
Jackie
like,
Gleason was in that, and he was also in
and,
Cannonball Run, right? Was that Jackie Gleason?
No, Smokey and the Bandit.
Smokey and the Bandit,
That's
yes,
a classic.
yes. That's how I remembered him. The Honeymooners I didn't care about the Honeymooners. I still don't.
Isn't The Honeymooners the basis of like a lot of like sitcoms?
I didn't say I didn't respect it. I didn't say I didn't respect
it's like
it.
that. It's like
Respect
that.
it, bro.
I didn't say they respected. I just
Like the
I found
Flintstones
it
is basically
boring.
the honeymoon.
Yeah. It was a cartoon. That's why I watched it. And it had dinosaurs.
And they smoke cigarettes.
Yes,
That was after
cigars.
as well. No,
Well, they
they
did cigarette commercials.
They had the cigarette commercials, but that was.
The Flintstones was the very first primetime cartoon ever.
Really? I don't remember. Oh, I guess I didn't watch it when it was on prime time.
It was like
No,
in the
it was
60s.
it was way
When it
it was
first
before
aired.
us
It
even.
aired on
Yeah.
Puppers at night.
Okay.
You didn't even see Gremlins.
I'm not gonna
Yeah,
look
I don't
this
remember
down.
the Flintstones. Yeah, I know, Mozart. It was like the 60s, dude. You're
No, I
talking-
don't remember this. No, the Flintstones and prime time.
It was the first cartoon ever to
That's
air
what
in
I'm
prime
saying.
time, initially.
In the 60s.
And you're like, I don't remember that. I know you don't remember that.
Were we allowed to watch TV in the 60s? I don't know.
Where are we? Oh, come on, Mozart. Why
Good
did you
job,
do this
Mozart.
to me?
Because
I fell
you-
for it. I'm like, what?
Always testing it, Corey.
Well. Oh, boy. Anyways, what were we talking about?
1984.
In 1984. 84. See, I don't remember what the final chapter was, Friday the 13th, because they're all blurred to me. I don't remember which one that was. I'm sure it's alright, but they're all a blur to me.
Big blur.
I don't remember which one it is, because there's more than too many.
Last Starfighter's on there.
Starfighter. I think they remake that. They remake that?
They're thinking about remaking it now. That was a good, that's a really one of the with Cloak and Dagger, one of the first like video game movies, like where they actually.
You ever see Cloak and Dagger?
Cloak and Dagger, no. When you keep saying that,
It's
you
fun.
know I'm
It's
thinking
a fun
of our
movie.
people.
Well,
but-
it's what's his face?
Oh, that
from E.T.
Elliot.
Why can't I remember?
Kid
his
who played
name?
Elliot. E.T. The main character in E.T.
Yeah, I
the
don't know
kid.
the kid's name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
He was in what is that? The Saving Private Ryan, right? Wasn't he?
Yeah, I think when he got older.
Hmm.
Kid who played
Hold
Elliot.
on.
E.T.
But what did he play in Saving Private Ryan?
One of the
guys.
people. Henry Thomas.
Henry
One of the
Thomas. Henry
guys.
Thomas.
But it was also
Dabney
Dabney
Coleman
Coleman was-
played
yeah.
his.
it's a fun movie. It's like he gets like his dad's in like the Air Force or whatever,
Yeah.
in the military, but he doesn't have always time whenever he's like a single dad. And then he goes into like video games and stuff, and like he ends up getting a video game that has like secret plans in it. So they end up going
Looks
after
like an
him.
Atari game. Almost.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then but then he has like a like he plays like a role playing game, and there's his guy is like it's his father, but he's a spy, and it's imaginary.
It's like a
but he's-
glorified version of his dad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but and then he helps him out, and these people are trying to kill him, and it's really it's a,
Because Dabney
yeah.
Coleman's there, the kid sees him, but nobody else sees him.
Yeah,
So it's almost like it's a figment of imagination, but it's his dad. Like it's his dad as like a cool soldier type guy,
Yeah.
Mm.
and it brings him through the movie. But it's
Weird.
very very well done,
Mhm.
and it's a fun film. I mean, a lot of people I talked to have seen it, like our age.
you know a lot of
Yeah.
the thing too is like even if you didn't see it at the theater at the time, what you call it, like you saw it on cable.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
you
what
know
I'm saying.
I mean?
Most
Like-
of these movies are on cable. I didn't see them when they came out.
Like you know like on HBO or something like that. Like they yeah that's
We didn't get cable until I was in like high school.
I didn't have cable late either. Because it was like people like I'm not paying for TV because it was just
Yeah.
free. You have the rabbit ears, you know.
And my dad was such a goody goody. We were like, just get the box. He goes, no, that's illegal. I'm like,
We
"All
had
right,
the
Dad."
box.
Yeah, it's like the Fire Sticks, you know.
Literally, a primitive fire stick. We used to tape everything off the box, though. That's all they would buy is blank tapes, blank VHS, man.
No, I used to. I think my mother was a video store. We would just go whatever we wanted. So. All the Transformer cartoons and everything.
Oh, it's good days.
Good old days.
It ain't coming
days.
back, dude.
nope.
It's a wrap.
And I tried watching that stuff now. Like I saw He-Man was on Netflix, and I put it on. I'm like, I can't watch
No,
this.
it's not the same.
And I loved it as a kid, but it's just like I was 5, 6 years old when this was on. I can see why.
Well, and
I
also
just-
they couldn't do stuff then. Like,
No, but
like
still,
He-Man-
but it's just not. It's not good.
no, it's not. Well, that's the thing. They
the
couldn't.
2000 series was good.
Well, that's the thing. They
But the
couldn't.
stuff when
they
I was a
couldn't-
kid-
he couldn't hit anybody. He could only hit like robots.
Yeah.
And it's like what I mean. So if you can't do anything, it does.
I know,
It
but the
gets-
dialogue is awful.
Yeah. Well,
like-
my daughter loves the new DuckTales and everything. So I
That
have.
holds true.
Huh?
The DuckTales, the new DuckTales feels like
Well,
the
it
old
does- it
DuckTales a
does
little
feel-
bit. It has a little bit of that
Yeah.
that feeling to it, which is nice.
But I have all the original ones on DVD. So I said we're gonna put it, and I think it's the first one where there's the Spanish galleon and all that stuff. So I put it on. I was watching it with her. It's slow.
Yeah.
Compared to now, like the pacing, like they didn't have it down. It's like, well, they even bring it up, like for Batman and a series. If you look in the beginning ones, the pacing, they don't have the pacing yet. It's too slow. It's not, it's just like really like drags
they also
out.
weren't dealing with a generation that needed like instant gratification. Like you could
guys
sit
had
and
patience.
watch it. Yeah, you could sit and watch one of these shows, and what are you complaining about, really?
Like I remember as a kid, I'm an oddball in my family. My whole family is they're into cars and engines and whatever else. I can't stand that stuff.
Vroom, vroom, vroom.
But I grew up in garages and bars. I don't drink and I don't care about cars and motorcycles. But I remember some of my most vivid memories and my most cherished memories are like my dad's watched me on a Saturday. I don't see my dad all week because he drove a truck all through New England. I wouldn't see him because when we got up in the morning he was gone and we went to bed he was gone. So I wouldn't see him during the week. So on the weekend we had him. So he's like, all right, let's go. And the entire day was, a couple hours at the bar, 5 or 6 hours at the motorcycle shop, a couple more hours at the bar, we come home. But I had fun because at the motorcycle shop, I would just randomly walk. I'd go into the storerooms. I would just like build stuff with empty cardboard boxes. I would talk to the people there. They had those old school Coke machines that we would have to pull the lever and the thing would
nice.
drop down and the ice bottle would come out and you have to use the bottle opener for that. I'd go across the street to the liquor store and I'd buy candy out of it. You know what I mean? Because
nice.
I used to go up to the convenience store and buy my mother cartons of cigarettes.
What a good boy you were. You know that?
I'd go up there and I'd say, yeah, or scratch tickets.
Oh, the 80s.
Scratchers.
So they go, okay, how are you? We have a carton of Cools and I need to, sure, here you go. I would leave. I was 8, 9, 10 years old. No, it didn't matter. So so most of my memories, the memories in there, but that's what I'm saying, my patience. We didn't go anywhere with anything. I didn't bring toys, really. I didn't bring anything to read. I hate reading. You know what I mean? So I would just go and play. You would just play. Like my dad worked in the factory. I would just aimlessly run to the factory. You know what I mean? Like my dad worked on huge trucks at an ice cream factory across the street from my house, and me and my brother would go in there and we would just play for hours. Because my dad would maintenance all the trucks in there. And we would be inside imagine going into the Zapp warehouse now, okay? 2 kids that have nothing to do with it, and you're climbing all the way up top. We're jumping across, we're taking boxes, we're making forts, and doing this for hours until, midnight, 1, 2 in the morning. Okay, let's go. And we would leave.
Can we do that?
We would hide in the freezer. Which if shut, by the way, we couldn't get out. We'd hide in the freezer.
Oh my God.
We had a blast, and those are my favorite memories as a kid. And there was no money spent. I didn't have any electronics, nothing. We just went with whatever.
Sounds like
it was
sleepover
awesome.
at the Zapp warehouse.
It was a lot of fun, and like I said, that's why I watch American Pickers a lot because
American Pickers.
They look at cars, they look at old hubcaps and signs. I was in people's barns and looking around. I used to play, and my friend's father had a junkyard. We would just play in the cars and jump all over the things and smash bottles, smash the windows. That's what you did. Well, I didn't have anything else to do, but I wasn't bored. I don't ever remember the only time I was bored if my mom took me to the wallpaper store. Oh my
store.
God.
That'll do it.
And she would have to measure everything. There's nothing else to do in there. There's nothing.
Well, that's the one thing even that kids don't have anymore. I remember that was the worst thing as a kid is going through wallpaper. Well, people don't really do wallpaper anymore.
No, back then it was a big deal.
Yeah,
and it was a big decision.
And they go through all the big books of wallpaper things.
Books,
oh my God, there's nothing to look at.
There was books, the size, the pages were 5 feet by 8 feet.
But that's also like shopping for wedding invitations.
Yes.
That is
Imagine
torturous.
doing that more than once in your life.
Gosh.
Yeah, but that's
as a kid.
But that's as a kid. You're not doing that as a kid. You know what I mean? At least you could be
yeah, but okay, but it's just as torturous.
But you have more control. As a kid, you're just
there.
Really?
Yeah, you can't leave. You can't leave. The only thing
you have no phone.
I couldn't leave shopping for wedding invitations.
Yeah, but it's your wedding invitation.
Yeah, but was it really my wedding invitation?
And you can at least look at your phone at least once or twice. So there you go. And I know you both times. So don't you dare.
Attention?
Oh.
Don't you dare, okay? You got married in front of the Friends fountain.
Oh, gosh. So don't bring that up again.
Every time, Motzi, every time.
Hoodwinked and bamboozled.
When my son was born,
Oh my God.
my son was born in the room. I was sitting on the chair looking up, and Seinfeld was playing as he was born. That just shows you how much things have changed. You know what I mean? I was watching Seinfeld when he was born. So it was cool.
It's a
It's very
brown
different.
birth right there.
Right.
That's right. The kid came out all right.
Certainly.
So, but anyways, to go back to it, very different time back then because you were pretty much you didn't have as many choices, and which sometimes is good.
Yeah.
Now there's too much because you'll flip through channels or on your phone and you just scroll and scroll and scroll and you're just looking for something.
Well, the thing is now is that you have back then when you had less choices, people tend to be more worldly.
Yes.
Because you didn't have the choices, so therefore whatever was available to you, you watched it. Even if you didn't really like it, you kind of gave it a chance because you didn't have any other options. Now you have so many options. The biggest thing now is personalized.
Yeah.
So you could lock yourself into one
Exactly.
frame of reference and have no clue what's going on in the outside world.
When I remember
Mm-hmm.
when SportsCenter was starting to come on, this in the 80s, and I remember it only aired once at like 8 in the morning.
SportsCenter?
Yeah, that's the only time it aired. It was
Nice.
8 in the morning, and then it would be like whatever tractor pulling, whatever they did on ESPN. Okay? I'm not kidding. And on Mondays it was an hour long, 8 to 9,
Yeah.
because they had the Sunday night conversation. But I just wanted baseball. But I would have to sit through the NASCAR highlights, the golf highlights, the tennis highlights, and I would watch them, and I realized I knew everything about every sport. Now I just put on the MLB Network, or I just look on my phone and look at the scoreboard. So I miss a lot. It's very different, but I would sit through it. I knew everything about NASCAR. I knew all the top drivers. I knew all the top golfers. I knew all the top tennis players.
It's different in now. Even if you watch ESPN and you watch SportsCenter, they play it's SportsCenter all day like ESPN News. When they don't have the rights to a sport, they don't cover it.
They don't cover it. Like
So
hockey.
They
Hockey's
don't
never.
have the full rights to baseball. They don't cover baseball.
No, not like they used to.
I used to watch Baseball Tonight. And
Yeah,
Baseball
I
Tonight
used to
now
love
comes on like
Baseball
2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
They pretty much had nothing on there. They didn't have football. They didn't,
No, they had, like-
they didn't have
the
the
only
rights
thing
to
is
the
the
games.
baseball maybe, but early on, yeah, they didn't count.
Everyone they got
anything.
baseball was a big deal.
Yeah.
But no, they had like I know I was joking about they had like tractor pulling. They had like all those like extreme type sports.
Exactly.
It wasn't sports like it wasn't mainstream because you had like that was on like the regular channels.
But you know what the biggest thing
Or you had to pay for the channel.
that changed really with it is the ticker.
Yeah.
Where you had all the
ESPN2
score-
first had it. Yeah.
you get
when
all the scores and everything. You have to wait, try to find. You have to wait for the news to put them up, and because you
I
know
remember-
to do it, so you have. To
I remember the Red
Yeah.
Sox. I remember the Red Sox playing like Anaheim. Well, it was California Angels back then or whatever.
Mhm.
And the newspaper the next morning wouldn't have the box score because it was too late of a game.
Yeah.
And I would never find out the score because they wouldn't say it. So I would have to pay attention to the standings because the next day it would show you like I don't know if they won or lost because it would go up.
Right.
But sometimes I never even know the score. I was upset with the box score to see how like Mike Greenwell or Spike Owen or Roger Clemens or Oil Can Boyd did. But like you know what I mean. So it was very different back then. There was no way to look. You couldn't look anything up. You couldn't unless I asked someone but my family wasn't into sports, so my box was very small. I couldn't run
My
down the
box
street.
is very small. Sorry.
So the bubble I was in. I'm sorry.
It was in the boy in the bubble, Corey Brown's bubbles.
So 1984 was a really good year, aside from you two clowns being born.
Unreal. What were the best things released in 1984? Me and Mozi.
No, the best thing released in 1984, my money would be going into Gremlins.
Yeah.
Karate Kid would be a
Karate Kid.
close second. Red Dawn will be up there.
I like Indiana Jones.
Hello.
Ghostbusters too. So I'd probably go Gremlins,
You know what? I'm surprised though,
Ghostbusters, Karate Kid probably.
with it is what you call it, the Naturals on there.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen it? I mean, it's a baseball movie. That's why
It's
I'm
with
like.
Robert Redford, right?
Yeah.
I've never seen it. I just
Wonder
know
Boy.
the end when he hits the lights.
Yeah, yeah.
But they show. It's on, you know what, sometimes they'll play it on MLB Network because it's like Sunday Night Baseball. At ESPN, they might just show the natural. Like, or nighttime, they don't have like the rights for anything, they put it on. I never sat down and watched it. I've never seen Bull Durham.
It's a good movie. They're good baseball ones.
I'm sure it's great. I've seen Field of Dreams, obviously.
Angels in the Outfield?
Nope.
Nope.
Naked Gun
That
is
was
a good
good.
baseball movie
Yeah.
with Reggie
Rico
Jackson.
Palazzo.
Reggie
Rico
Jackson?
Palazzo.
What was the baseball one with the kid who played for the Cubs? The pitcher.
Oh,
The Rookie.
The Rookie.
Rookie. Yeah.
The Rookie. Oh my god. I wouldn't even.
I don't even know what that is because it's on the back of a lot of comic books from when I was collecting back in the
The
day.
Rookie?
I've never
Yeah,
seen it,
true.
but I know what it is. Yeah, I know exactly what it is. So. You need to talk on the next one, Joe. You don't talk much anymore.
The next one's all about the history of Guar.
Yeah.
Wow, I can
No,
throw a lock on
that's
that
not
one.
happening.
Okay.
No. You can do it.
Did you know there's a bar in Virginia?
Yeah, Guar Bar.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, you said.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
Mosey.
saying. One of my friends, like former coworkers, posted those. I was like, "Oh, Joe!"
Did you send it to him?
I should have tagged you on it.
So you saw it, you got excited for it, but you didn't even ask or tag Joe in it.
Well,
He knew he would see me in real life. Yeah.
That's not no.
I'm not really an internet dweller. I like seeing people
interpersonal
in real
relationship.
life.
Yeah. Gotta make eye contact with the man.
For gore?
For gore,
For
bro.
memories. For memories.
Man.
When the next time you seen gore?
I think probably Halloween they come around.
Okay.
Later in the year. I might not talk a lot, but I come in here and there, with the important stuff.
Like
With the really, not the important stuff.
So out of all those movies, Joe, what was your favorite one? You think?
Easily Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mozart?
Terminator.
Huh?
Karate Kid.
Johnny?
I don't,
Little Drummer
there's
Girl.
so many good. Yes.
Amadeus.
There's so many good movies. I guess I'll go with you with Gremlins. I mean, there's so many good movies.
A
double feature with Gremlins 2.
I could sit through it. I just don't
I could
care
sit
for it.
through
I would
it.
never.
Hulk-
Dude, you
Hulksters
would
and
do
Gremlins
it.
too.
Come on.
The
The
what?
Hulks.
Remember when they break the film and then it goes to the movie theater and Hulk's watching?
Oh,
it?
yeah,
Hulk
dude.
Hogan.
You're gonna burn it off.
I don't know. I just think it was. This is how I look at it. Like, Incredibles 2 worked because it was just like a continuation.
Mhm.
Okay. Gremlins 2 was so different than the first one. It was so exaggerated with the Spider Gremlin and
The Spider Gwen, you said?
Spider Gremlin.
Oh, Spider
The
Gremlin.
Spider-Gwen. First
the-
appearance.
Greta, the girl
girl,
Gremlin.
yeah.
And
But it made sense. I mean, what they were in the genetic
I know,
lab
and I know it was like 80s, and that's when all that stuff was.
Well,
I
but
don't
it's
know.
also it was parody. I mean, they instead of going for the straight horror one, they went kind of like.
That's why I think
instead-
I think it's too different for me.
Mm.
I know. Yeah, I'm sorry. Gremlins is sacred territory. So
This was a fantastic topic you found.
yeah, I'm glad you joined in.
I did.
Once or twice.
When you go back and listen to this, I'm on here like I'm gonna say like 43% of this I talked.
43%.
No,
All
I'd
right.
say like
Damn it,
27%.
20. I'll take it.
And this part of it right now counts in that 27%.
Oh wow! Come on, I was in there. Let us
Yeah.
know on the internet if I talked enough.
Do you have anything else to say? You have any like tidbits you want to say? About anything? Joe?
1984 was good. Glad we're not there anymore. I do miss. I miss the old days a little bit, but
Glad we're not there anymore.
yeah,
That's like
yeah.
me and my 60s comment.
Unreal. Yeah. I don't remember much from then.
You guys, Flintstones or Jetsons fans?
Flintstones. Both.
Flintstones.
Both.
Jetsons.
But, you
The
know.
Jetsons- but the Jetsons
not
were
even close.
great,
Jetsons.
but-
I love the Jetsons.
How is it not even close?
You know what it is?
But it has to be close.
No, but I think now, if I watch them now, I'd enjoy the Flintstones more. When I was younger, the Jetsons blew it away.
Why?
Blow it away,
Flintstones were
bro.
boring. They were the honeymooners. You know what I mean?
Well, that's,
The
I guess
Jetsons,
they
there
didn't
was-
like the honeymooners.
You know, it was a lot more characters, and it was a little bit different, and it was futuristic.
What was the name of
and
the daughter again?
Judy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daughter Judy.
Jane, his wife.
Boy
Boy Elroy. Meet George Jetson. What were the two kids on Flintstones, Joe?
Pebbles and Bam Bam.
Oh, yeah. Bam, 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 bam.
Yes,
There's the
very-
Pebbles
But they
and
came
Bam
later,
Bam
right?
show.
When were then?
I don't think they were beginning. I think
No,
they,
I think they came along like they were born, not like born. But
Yeah, they just
Where did they?
were there. I don't think she was ever pregnant.
Did the Flintstones spawn Fraggle Rock?
No, that's from
Muppets.
that's the Muppets. That was Jim Henson.
Who was is Fraggle Rock the cousin it-looking character with the club? Am I getting
No,
that
that's
wrong?
Captain Caveman.
Captain Cave Boy.
Oh.
What?
Captain
Well, Fraggle Rock
Caveman.
up in the land when they came out of that well, there was these weird looking like
The gourds.
the
Up in the
gourds.
land.
They're in it.
No, but I know.
Cleveland?
But you're thinking. Are you thinking the cartoon? Like the one that looks like Cubs in it was Captain Caveman.
Yeah.
He had all hair.
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
just a
yeah.
Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
Oh, okay.
Captain,
Yeah, that's different.
And like he would fight thing, and then he had his angels, like the three girls and
No,
stuff.
wasn't there another cartoon that Bam Bam and Pebbles were?
Yeah, there was the Bam Bam and Pebbles or whatever. There was a lot of spin-offs. There was
Okay.
Yeah.
when we were kids, there was the Flintstone kids.
Yeah.
Remember
I
that?
remember Flintstone Kid. That was
They-
good.
And
That
they
was
did
there.
the vitamins and stuff. You know,
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
commercial.
And Muppet Babies.
Well, Muppet, and they're back on.
Muppet Babies is back?
Yeah,
There's a new version of it.
yeah. My daughter
Is it
loves
good?
it. It's pretty good.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen
love
it yet,
Muppet
but I know it's on.
Babies.
Corey plays the new nanny, but you don't see their face. You just see their legs. This is Corey's
Mrs.
little
Nanny.
white legs.
You see
going up there.
Target's getting Tom and Jerry pops.
Yeah.
I think they're all
Target,
coming up, but Target
too.
has certain ones that are only for Target.
So was Tailspin.
Yeah, they just had
Tailspin
it.
just
Whoa.
I wasn't into Tailspin. Yeah.
Tailspin.
But to go back to DuckTales real quick, I don't care what you say, how the show might have been slow. That video game was awesome.
Oh yeah, no, it's
that
great.
first game.
That was an aggravating video game.
It was
That
hard.
was,
Awesome.
that was a great game.
Hard game, but fun.
You remember Quackshot for Genesis? You were Donald Duck and you had like a gun that was like a plunger and it would have like a string on it and you had to jump on it. It was called Quackshot for Genesis. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Well, most of those they have like the Rescue Rangers had a game that was pretty good.
Done.
What'd you just say?
We're gonna have a challenge on DuckTales next year at Zapp Comic-Con 3.
I haven't played it since I was like whatever it came out, so I'm not challenging anything. I'm just telling you it was a fun game.
Beat Corey's score in DuckTales.
You know what I'm addicted to right now? I'm addicted to Mario Kart.
For Super Nintendo?
No, I never played it in my life. For Switch.
Oh, that's awesome.
I can't stop playing it.
Play that for like a year and then try and play the Mario Kart version for Super Nintendo, and you think it's the hardest game in the world.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Whatever challenge you had this year for Mario Kart, no one was like, well, how did this possible?
Time trials, baby.
Oof.
If anybody doesn't know, Joe Ott runs the Zapp Comic Cons.
Sometimes there's creepy noises in this Zapp comic store.
Yeah, it's late at night, you know? That's what happens.
Great.
When the critters come out. And that's how Johnny gets bloody noses. Like he did last time. So, alright. I think we're done.
Fit.
I apologize for Joe's lack of speaking the first hour.
That's not true.
That's not true. I
We're
can't
gonna go
show
back,
you
we're
talking
gonna-
about Corey. I got so excited. I can't take it.
You're gonna see that I chimed in at the good time, at the right time.
Oh.
At the good
At
time.
the good time.
Talking about the good time, go the best time.
Oh my god.
Oh, Danny boy.
It's late.
Something.
It's late. What's that?
Chumbawamba.
Chumbawamba.
Oh, man.
You got a whiskey
Remember?
drink? Lager
What are you
drink.
talking about?
Those
He's
are the
singing that
best
song.
times. I-
What song?
Chumbawamba. Tub thumping.
Yeah.
You know that one?
I don't remember.
The British like anarchist band.
Yeah.
Chumbawamba.
You have a lager drink? You have a whiskey
I might need to
drink?
hear. I
Again,
might need to
fight
hear
the
the
wrong way.
music part,
Yeah.
not just the lyrics.
I
So.
get knocked down,
Down.
but Corey
I get
gets
up again.
Never gonna keep Corey down. Corey gets knocked down. You know that one?
It was probably what, like
Shoot.
mid to late 90s?
You have no idea how disturbing this is. Okay.
Oh,
Well,
man.
on that note, this podcast is officially over.
It's been real.
It might never come back.
That's not true.
And if it doesn't, you can blame Joe Ott, Johnny Knoll, partly Mozart for Chumbawamba.
Oh my god, what?
Whatever that is.
I did the Chumbawamba.
You kind of sang and you laughed.
No, okay. Let's not.
Your lips were moving. You were singing.
As the flavor on this podcast, I was singing Good Times.
Once you get the name for today.
So what were they singing?
Dynamite. That was what I was doing.
We're singing.
Is that the same one?
No,
Same thing?
no,
Then
no.
what happened
You
here?
never saw Good Times?
Of course I saw Good Times, but I don't know what they were singing.
And when you hear it, you'll be like, oh, it was on everywhere.
Do the next podcast about video games. We'll be lit up the whole time.
No, I'm gonna do the next
That
podcast
and sitcoms.
with 3 other people.
Oh my god.
Well, maybe Mozart. That's it.
There you go.
Because apparently I need some flavor on my podcast. So. Yeah.
I'll take it.
Good times, Joseph over there.
Sounds like
Oh
we're getting
my
a spin-off.
Okay, guys, for Mozart, Joe Ott, Johnny Knoll, this is Corey Brown. We're at Zapp Comics, and I will see you guys next time.
Zapp Comics Radio Podcast. Zapp Comics Radio Podcast. Zapp Comics.